Two people and Next.
Hello, welcome everybody to our training. May I get a response if you're hearing my voice?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, okay. This training will be a one-way training. So if you have a question, we will ask later. So hi and welcome to Campbell Scientific Configuration Training. This training will be presented by Miss Tai. She's from our SureCam technical department. So without further ado, you may start.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. As introduced by Mr. Imran just now, we will now proceed with the basic training for Campbell Scientific Datalogger configuration. Today's agenda will start with the introduction of both company, which is Campbell Scientific and SureCam. Then we will continue with the introduction about Datalogger and specifically on CR310. After that, we will have the introduction about the software LoggerNet and the basic setup of CR310. We will then further proceed a little bit about the weather station and the system example. And lastly, I will share the basic troubleshooting about the logger CR310. Campbell Scientific was founded back in year 1974. Its HQ is at Logan, Utah. They have their Southeast Asia office in Australia, and Malaysia is covered under the region. Campbell Scientific is the leading manufacturer of data logger in various fields, which include weather, water, energy, gas flux and turbulence, infrastructure, and soil. SureCam is the appointed distributor of Campbell Scientific in Malaysia. We are founded in year 1987. Our office is located at Sri Petaling, Kuala Lumpur. We are the solution provider in the field of environment, water, soil, crops, and infrastructure. We will now proceed with the introduction about Datalogger. As everyone knows, Datalogger is a device used to record and store the output of the connected sensors. Of course, it interprets the electrical signal from sensors and converts it into engineering unit. If you are using digital sensor, the Datalogger can simply record the data based on the preset interval. You might come across different terms for Datalogger. So it is also known as data recorder, data acquisition system, remote terminal unit RTU, depending on which field or discipline you are. The diagram on the right is showing the common parts of general purpose Datalogger. You can see the terminals to connect sensors, power connectors, Ethernet ports, USB port, and other ports used for smart sensors and communication peripherals connection. There are also memory card slot for storage expansion and ground lug for grounding protection. Now, you see this particular model of Datalogger CR310. This is a multi-purpose compact and low-cost Datalogger. As you can see from the diagram on top, there is an integrated Ethernet port for Ethernet communication. And you can also see a removable terminal connectors. This can actually ease the sensors connection. For your information, CR310 is available with built-in radio frequency or cellular modem, depending on the region, and there is also another option with built-in Wi-Fi modem. This small logger is compatible with nearly all available sensors in the market. This is the close-up of the logger. Basically, you can connect almost all types of sensor on the pulse counter, control terminals, switch excitation channels, and analog input terminals as long as the sensors are properly configured. This is some of the specification of the logger. It can connect up to 6 single-ended analog sensors. In other words, 3 differential analog sensors. All these are individually configured. It has up to 8 pulse counter if all of these channels are properly configured. It has 2 voltage excitation channels and up to 7 digital input-output channels as well. The power requirement of the logger is 12 VDC or 16 to 32 VDC, depending on which power terminal is in use. It has also 1 power output channel which output 12 VDC to power up sensors, modem, or other peripherals. We will now continue with the software LoggerNet. This is a very powerful software in which users can create custom data logger programs, connect to a data logger for data retrieval, to display real-time data or create graphical data display to control flags, ports, and variables. We can do a lot of things with this software. The setup of the CR310 logger using LoggerNet is very straightforward. After you launch the software, you open the Easy Setup wizard as shown on the screen and make sure you are viewing on Easy Simplified View. Then you can follow the on-screen instruction by clicking Next. Over here, you need to select the data logger type and input a name for the data logger. In this case, you need to choose CR300 series. And for the name, you can enter any preferred name. It can be a site location, project name, or other application name. Then we'll be using Direct Connect for data retrieval. So after select Direct Connect, you can proceed by clicking Next. This step is very important. We need to choose the correct COM port for communication. We must choose the correct COM port by referring to our computer setting. Then if you are connecting this for the first time, you must install the USB driver. After you click Next, you will get to see some other data logger settings, which is the basic data logger settings, and then security settings. All these usually will just leave it as default unless you have a very big network of data logger. Then lastly, you get to see the summary of the data logger. If you click Next instead of Finish on the previous screen, you will be proceeded with the communication test. Once communication is succeeded, you can display the time for both the data logger and the local PC time. Then you can now synchronize the data logger clock with your computer time. After that, you can proceed by sending programs to the data logger. Once this is done, the data logger is ready for monitoring. After monitoring has been carried out for a certain period of time, user normally will need to retrieve the data. The simplest method is to download the data on site. That's why the previous steps on selecting the COM port is very important. There are other means of data communication, for example, cellular communication, radio frequency, FTP, or even satellite, but this will not be covered here. In order to download data, once again, we need to launch the LoggerNet software. You will see the diagram on the left. Then choose the Connect button, which is shown here. After that, another screen will prompt out, which is on the right. Then select the station to be connected. Once connected, the timer on the bottom left will be started. Then click on collect now and the data will be downloaded. After data is downloaded, you will see the screen on the left. This is depending on the data table that you specify in the program. After that, you need to choose one of the table to view the data. You will see this sample data on the right. This data file is in DAT format. So if let's say you are not using LoggerNet software to view the data, you can open the downloaded files using Notepad. I think until here, everyone is clear with the setup of the data logger. After that, we can use the data logger to customize the weather station. As you all know, weather station is used to monitor the atmospheric condition to provide information for weather forecast or to study the weather or climate. Not only this, weather station can also be used in agricultural sector as well. The standard parameters in a weather station includes temperature and relative humidity, solar radiation, atmospheric pressure, wind speed and direction, and rainfall. Of course, you have the flexibility to connect more sensors depending on your application and the terminals available on your data logger. This includes soil moisture sensor or hydrological sensors such as water level sensors. You can see some of the sensors options for a typical weather station. Solar radiation sensor can be thermopile sensor or silicon pyranometer. Then you see the temperature and RH sensor with a radiation shield. For precipitation, you have the tipping bucket rain gauge. And for wind speed and direction sensor, you can have the wind sentry set with anemometer and wind vane. Alternatively, you can also use ultrasonic 2D or 3D wind sensor. Last but not least, a barometric pressure, which is usually housed inside the enclosure together with the logger. This is a system example of connecting all the previously mentioned sensors to CR310. So over here, we have the logger, which is used to measure the sensors and then process and store the data. The data are typically stored in the unit of your choice. The measurement rates and the data logging intervals are independently programmed. For example, if you want to have a data averaging data with averaging data, then you need to select the data type when we create the program. You have the option to log the maximum or minimum measurement as well. All these are depending on the program. After that, you can modify the logger program anytime to accommodate different sensor configurations or new data processing requirements. All these are flexible using the LoggerNet software. Clearly, from the diagram, one CR310 is sufficient for a standard weather station monitoring. If you have more sensors to be connected, you can expand the channel capacity by using multiplexer. Last part of the presentation is on some simple troubleshooting tips. Usually, we will start with this basic procedure. If you are facing problems with your station, first thing to check is the power supply. Make sure there is at least 10 to 18 VDC if you are using bad BAT terminals. Or if you are using another power terminal CHG, make sure there is 16 to 32 VDC input. Then physically inspect the wires and cables for any incorrect wiring connections, loose connections, faulty connectors, cut or damaged cable. You can also check on the Datalogger program to see if there is any unauthorized changes to the program. Lastly, you have the option to reset the Datalogger, which include processor reset, program send reset, manual data table reset, formatting memory drives, and also full memory reset. But before you perform this step, you must make sure that the setting of the data logger, you can do a backup for the data logger first before you perform the reset. Otherwise, all the data or the settings will be reset back to factory settings. These are some of the project reference using Campbell scientific data logger in various types of monitoring. We have the weather station in Monash University. We have also flood warning system at Sarawak. Then we have also water level and warning station at Johor. After that, here are some other photos of the system. We have flow monitoring station in UPNM and soil moisture and rainfall stations around Klang Valley. I hope what I presented just now is informative to all of you. If you have further questions, feel free to drop email to support@surecam.com.my. You can also visit our company website www.surecam.com.my for more information. I will now pass the session back to Mr. Imran.
Okay, thank you, Sewa, for the very good presentation. I'm sure all of you have your own set of questions. So like Sewa said earlier, you can direct your question to the email in this slide. And you can also call this number to office for direct communication. I hope you guys got very positive or input from this presentation. So I think that's all for our training today. If we have another, interested to have more training, we can set up another training. Okay, so we have some more time, so we can answer for a few questions. I think the chat is disabled. So can ask question. Maybe can open the mic. Open the mic. All right. So tapi semua cakap ni. Raise hand lah.
Raise hand.
You can open. Yeah, whoever have a question can raise their hands, and I allow him or her to speak to ask a question. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand. So Mr. Atif, I don't know Mr. or Mr. Atif, you can ask a question.
Yeah, okay. So like the structure of the Datalogger 310, right? It's
Yes.
made of steel, is it?
Yeah, steel with coated paint. So, yeah, you will not shorted the battery or
the casing material is powder coated aluminium.
Okay, so how long do you think that it would last if the Datalogger is in stock?
Okay, the Datalogger, we have some previous Datalogger that has been installed for more than 15 years. If the Datalogger is installed inside proper panel, then it will last for a long time.
How about risk of lightning?
From lightning, then you have a problem with the lightning, then you must set up a lightning protection system to protect the Datalogger. From our
Okay, sure.
drawing here, for this sensor, we install the SPD here to protect from lightning, surge protection device from the AC supply. Here.
Okay, all right. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I can see that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any other question from the floor?
We have another 9 minutes. Our session ends. We nak prepare questions, so we wait for 3:30 lah to end the session. So if you have a question on and you have, you can send to email, this email. Okay. Okay. So if we don't have a question right now, I would like to show you Showcam website.
Our company website.
Our company website. So I need to share new screen. Share. Stop screen.
Stop sharing.
Stop sharing. Okay. Stop sharing. Screen. Okay, share screen. So this is our Showcam company website. You can browse here to get to know better for each product, for each category. For example, here is a water category. You have a water sampling product, level measurement monitoring, and so on. So this one is for environment and weather stations. You get many choice of sensors from many principles. So one, for example, is Sky is from UK. So here you can send us an inquiry through email, and this is our address. You can come for more face-to-face or hands-on, not training but session. As a session, you can observe our product, feel our product, and maybe test. So here is the email for Showcam and sales and support. Here you can also check our location. I think we wait for a question. We end the session at 3:30. So if not, is the question you end. Oh, I get another question from Mr. Frankie Coy. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I just want to ask, we all know that the Datalogger have many type of version, right?
Sorry?
And yeah, many type of version. I mean CR 300 or CR 88.
Okay.
Yeah, model, many model. And I just want to know, is it all the wiring diagram connection are the same, or is it different for each wiring diagram for the Datalogger?
You can get if you are using LoggerNet software, you can get the wiring diagram from shortcut.
Oh, I see.
So by
Okay.
different models of Datalogger, the terminals to be used might be slightly different, but since the output of the sensors are the same, it should be quite similar. The logger that I presented just now, CR310, is the smallest data logger we have in the series. So let's say you are using another models with a larger logger like CR800 or CR1000X, then you can connect even more sensors.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I think you can get one more question if the participant has question. So we wait for one more, and we end the session at 3:30. Here is some background for Shokan. You can read on the screen. You can browse later on. We're involving in many type of works, research and education works, environmental works, and hydrology works, hydrogeology works. So 1 minute more, 1 more minutes. So I think there is no more question from the participants. So from Shokan Tech Department, I thank you all the participants for participating our training today, and thank you for your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Imran.
Okay, bye bye.
Good info, good info.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Lim.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Imran.
Thank you.
Thank you, Imran.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.